I'm WG, and the dev note for the Season 2 balance adjustment is finally here. Not a day went by that somebody wasn't asking about the Yuki rework, Cassius adjustment, and everything else the like. So how about we have a look? As usual, I haven't looked at it. We can have a look at it together. Let's see what the devs have cooked up. So, zero out all despair. Hello, this is the Chaos Zero Nightmare team. As we conclude Season 1 and prepare for the launch of Season 2, the Chaos Zero Nightmare development team is gearing up for a new leap forward. The wide range of gameplay experience and feedback shared by Protoss have served as an important foundation for Season 2. In the dev note, they want to outline the major balance adjustments that will be applied alongside the Season 2 update to meet the Protoss expectation, who have been waiting a long time for these changes. The team has carried out extensive reviews and discussion in making these changes. First, they would like to explain the changes to the save data storage rules, as this is a core update that affects the overall Season 2 gameplay experience. They want to adjust it prior, or address it prior. So, we have identified the current calculation method for faint memories includes several unintuitive elements that have caused inconvenience. Since the disclosure of the storage rules, some important improvements have been made, such as allowing faint memories to be checked during the Chaos Run. However, we determined that these adjustments alone were not sufficient. Under the previous rules, accurate calculation required players to manually track their gameplay in detail. As a result, we observed cases where players relied on external websites or tools. Yes, still was a case. We believe this experience disrupts the immersion in the game itself and detracts from the overall enjoyment. To reduce the burden Protoss face when managing save data and to allow greater focus on in-game choices and experiences, we are revising the save data storage rules in a more intuitive direction. These will be applied alongside the Season 2 update and can be reviewed in-game through the help section. Okay. Change background and direction. Under the previous rules, the value of save data could vary even when the final result was the same, depending on the specific gameplay path taken. As a result, a form of optimal play emerged even before entering Chaos, dictating the exact order and methods by which elements needed to be acquired. In this environment, unexpected choices and experiences often became sources of calculation-driven stress rather than enjoyment. To adjust this, the new rules shift save data valuation from being process-based to result-based. With this change, save data value will be calculated in a more intuitive manner. Okay. Key details of the change. Save data value will be calculated based on additional elements acquired beyond a save data consisting of 8 cards made up of uniquely obtainable starting cards and epiphany cards. Neutral cards are calculated at a fixed value regardless of whether epiphany has been applied. Divine Epiphany will continue to be calculated at 20. Monster cards are now common, rare and legendary based on their effects with 20, 50 and 80 cost respectively, and the points awarded for duplication will be changed from 0, 10, 30 to 0, 0, 40. So, because it's so important, because it's save data, let's take a quick breakdown. So first, Divine Epiphanies work the way they do. Neutral cards now do not increase in price when you give them an Epiphany, so they don't go from 20 to 30, they stay at 20. Unless you make him Divine, they go to 40. So, common, rare, legendary monster cards, 20, 50, 80 cost respectively. So, the common cards are equivalent to your neutral cards. The other one is then, yeah, I guess 2.5 times the value, and then we still have 4 times the value. Okay, the duplication thing doesn't change much. It just means that only the final copy is actually worth any points at base. Still means it's going to be 20 more right here if you get a Divine. Removing cards other than starting cards does not grant points. Each removed starting card is valued at 20 points. Transforming a card is treated as a removal. Limits will also be added to removal and duplication per save data. Duplication is limited to a maximum of 4 times and removal is limited to a maximum of 5 times. Okay. Alright, so it looks like card removal is not something that goes up in save data value anymore, but something that is inherently limited to 5 actions. And also something very interesting, if for whatever reason you get another card into your deck, it doesn't cost you anything to get rid of it, right? Removing cards other than starting cards does not grant any save data points. Okay. The purpose of these rules changes is to preserve the existing gameplay experience as much as possible while allowing players to understand save data value more intuitively without complex calculations. Even after the Season 2 update, systems related to faint memory will be continued to be refined. Okay, so it looks like the only major change for now is that apparently 0 card decks might, you know, 0 card decks could still very much be possible. Yeah, nothing changes here, because as long as you only get 5 cards before you extract, you can still remove all your cards in your deck. Okay, so that is very interesting. We have to see how that truly like plays out and what is what, and do the calculations now, and if anything crazy changed. But I would already say, as like a conservative estimate, you're going to be able to make your decks that are a little stronger. That's a conservative estimate. So, balance adjustment. Chaos Nightmare is designed to deliver combat experiences with each combatant fulfilling a distinct role, where different deck building experiences and strategic discoveries emerge every run based on player choice and combinations. However, during Galactic Disaster Season 1, certain combatant combinations and build became overly fixed, leading to a style of deck building that repeatedly pushed players towards near optimal answers. This diminished the motivation of Protoss seeking more varied experiences and resulted in a rigid combat meta. Based on these observations, Season 2 introduces a lot of improvements and adjustments aiming at expanding strategic options and allowing Protoss to enjoy combat in a fresher, more dynamic environment. The major adjustments are 5 key directions: combat reworks, combat improvements, partner improvements, memory fragment improvements, and adjustments to select equipment and common cards. So reworks, improvements, partner buffs, set buffs, and yeah, equipment and common cards. Okay, so combatant reworks. First, we'd like to cover Tressa and Cassius. These two combatants demonstrated extremely powerful synergy and sat at the center of Season 1 combat meta. The impact was so strong that in many cases there was little reason to consider alternative options, which led to a more concentrated and skewed combat experience throughout the season. The depth with which Protoss analyzed and utilized these two combatants in their own ways left a strong impression on the development team as well. However, when viewed against the game's core direction of encouraging diverse combat experiences and combinations, we concluded that the overall influence had a level that was too big, constraining strategic choice. Accordingly, these adjustments have been prepared with the goal of restoring meta diversity while preserving the feel of play that many Protoss currently enjoy for these characters. Above all, we prioritize maintaining the core appeal and practical value that define these units. First, we walk you through the changes to Tressa. Tressa is designed as a psionic combatant who generates shadow daggers to unleash consecutive attacks while applying the continuous effect Agony to build a powerful dot. However, under the current structure, each application of dot stacks as an individual debuff. This has resulted in overly cluttered monster HUD information and made it difficult to intuitively understand how many stacks you actually have. With this adjustment, we'll be improving the readability by reworking how Agony operates, making its behavior more intuitive and allowing Tressa to utilize it in a new way. Okay, here we go. That's a big one. Okay, so Agony effect mechanics. Applied a new debuff to the target each time Agony is inflicted. After Agony applied by the caster is stacked on a singular debuff. Before it did, at the end of the turn, each Agony stack deals damage and reduces its stack count by 1. Now, at the end of the turn, damage is dealt based on the number of Agony stacks, then the stack count is reduced by half. The number of damage count increases based on the stack count. Okay. At the end of the turn, the fixed dot equal to 50% of the amount of agony. On effect activation, reduce agony by 1 turn, which was the agony continuous effect. Now it deals at the end of the turn the 50% equal to the dot damage equal to 50% of the amount of agony. On effect activation, decrease agony stacks by half at maximum 20 stacks. Shadow Dagger 0 cost exhaust 50% 2 agony is now a 0 cost 80% 1 agony. Advanced Shadow Dagger is now a 0 cost, so -1 cost. It now does 2 agony, 50% damage, and plus 10% damage amount for each agony on the target. Okay, so Advanced Shadow Dagger not only got a 1 card cost reduction, so a buff you could say, but also a inherently scaling multiplier. Alright, so Unsheathed Dagger Unique Epiphany 4. Create 2 Shadow Daggers, increase the agony effect of the created Shadow Dagger by 3. Is now create 2 Shadow Daggers, increase the agony effect of the created Shadow Dagger by 2. Shadow Reload Unique Epiphany at cost 2 is what it was before. Retain 80% damage to all enemies. 2 agony, exhaust all Shadow Daggers, repeat. Became better. It now just got a cost reduction. The Unique Epiphany 1 for Shadow Reload is now better. The Unique Epiphany 2 now has a cost reduction, a healing multiplier increase, but only creates 1 advanced Shadow Dagger instead of 2. The Shadow Reload Unique Epiphany 3 is now a cost X skill that is heal times X. There might be some text missing here. There might be some text missing here for the Shadow Reload Unique Epiphany 3. Okay, Unique Epiphany 4, which was the healing skill card create Shadow Dagger, is now a cost 1 skill that exhausts all Shadow Daggers and then creates an advanced Shadow Dagger for each exhausted Shadow Dagger. So if you create, let's say, 10 Shadow Daggers that usually deal 80% in 1 agony, you turn them into 10 Shadow Daggers that now deal 2 agony, 50% damage, and plus 10% damage for each agony on the target. Vital Attack, Unique Epiphany 3, cost 2 is now cost 1, and instead of plus 50% agony damage for 1 turn, it now adds 80% damage times 3 at 2 to 6 agony. Is it like random, or is it dependent on if it hits the same enemy? I'm not quite sure, but it does say 2 to 6 agony right here. Curse Gouge, 2 agony imprint, 2 weaken. Activate this unit's agony applied to the target. Okay. So you can now, like, combust the enemy's agony stacks with Curse Gouge at a 1 cost skill card. Okay. So, here's the explanation. Agony effect mechanics. With agony now stacking as a single debuff, its stacking and consumption behavior will be adjusted to be more intuitive. This change is intended to provide clearer damage expectations based on a number of agony stacks. Additionally, to clarify how agony stacks are managed under the new mechanics, the maximum number of agony stacks set will be set to 20, meaning there is a cap to how much agony you can apply to an enemy. With the limit to agony stacks, the agony values of Shadow Dagger will be adjusted to prevent Tressa from reaching it too quickly and suffering a loss in expected damage output. To compensate, the base damage amount will be increased to improve overall usability. And for the advanced Shadow Dagger, which previously saw low usage due to fear-related issues like the fact that it will cost you 1 instead of nothing, it will now be revamped to better synergize with the update. Unsheathed Dagger, as the change to the reduction method increases the strategic value of 1 agony, certain epiphany values on Unsheathed Dagger will be adjusted. Okay. Adjustments will be made across the Shadow Reload card, which previously served as the core of Tressa's playstyle and showed an overwhelmingly high Epiphany pick rate. In particular, with the usability of Advanced Shadow Dagger significantly improved, a comprehensive revamp will be carried out to open up a variety of play options that leverages this change. Epiphany 4, which held an especially high pick rate and dominant presence in the previous meta, will be redesigned with a unique effect so that it can continue to function as a key choice under Tressa's updated mechanics. Through these changes, we expect Shadow Reload to remain a powerful and impactful card even after the adjustments. Vital Attack. As Agni stacks have become more important, certain Epiphany options for Vital Attack will be adjusted. The cost will be reduced to improve usability, and the effects will be reworked to specialize in building Agni stacks. Cursed Gouge. Lastly, the effect of Cursed Gouge will be changed. It was used to significantly increase the amount of Agony applied, and under the revised Agony mechanics, the card will be reworked to feature a new unique attribute that directly leverages Agony instead. With this adjustment, we expect Tressa to utilize Agony in a more strategic manner and continue to shine as a powerful combatant through a renewed playstyle. Cassius! The big one, the oh no, they're going to kill him character. Let's see what Cassius gets hit with. Cassius is designed as a controller combatant who completes 4 unique types of quests, providing a wide range of buffs to allies. Each quest offers a situational strategic choice, creating a combat experience that emphasizes flexible decision making and adaptive play based on the battle state. However, we observed that certain quest rewards were functioning as overly powerful options relative to their completion difficulty, establishing themselves as dominating strategies that overshadowed the other choices. As a result, Cassius' core gameplay, originally intended to revolve around pursuing a variety of quests, has been instead pushed toward forcing specific epiphanies and builds. These builds have been proven powerful enough to dominate the overall combat experience. From a long-term perspective, they pose a risk to strategic diversity and the combat meta. Okay, so they want to prioritize the core effective enjoyment of quest completion while selectively tuning elements that were functioning as dominant strategies. At the same time, certain aspects will be improved that Cassius, so that Cassius retains his value. Okay, quest mechanic changes. When conditions are met during the battle, generate a quest card is now, when conditions are met during battle, generate a quest card as a reward. You also get 80% fixed healing at 3 times a turn. And the quest card is excluded from the criteria. Okay. So it's just more healing, right? They just added healing into the generation of quest cards. 000 is now 40% damage plus 40% damage amount for each attack card used this turn, but kept at 4 stacks. Meaning that the highest amount of damage a 000 could do is 160% extra, so 200% total at base, compared to used attack card this turn with infinite cap. Empowered 000. Okay. Yeah, the 50% damage for each attack card used this turn, and now it's plus 50% damage for each attack card used this turn instead of plus 40 with 50 base, so it goes from 200 to 250%. 111 is now 0 cost, 150% damage, 150% here, so up by 60%. Empowered 111 is now up by 80% to 200%. 200%. Full House now is still a 0 cost draw 1 that now also decreases the stress by an ally by 2. And Empowered Full House just decreases stress by 3. They don't seem to have touched his buffing card, so his buffing card still gives 2 stacks of Fortitude, Morale, and Resolve, I think. Alright, Dice Trick. Before this, it just decreased the cost by the number of completed quest cards. Now, reduce 1 Morale for 1 turn. Cost decreases by the number of completed quests. So it now has the ability to, when it hits an enemy, further reduce the enemy morale by 1 turn. Okay, so Dice Trick seems to be the major adjustment here, an adjustment for all 5 of his epiphanies. So, for epiphany number 1, it now reduces morale in comparison to before. For epiphany number 2, it now also reduces morale compared to what it also did before. Number 3 is the 0 cost 80% plus 80 for each completed quest, which now caps at 5 times, making it 480% instead of 1 gazillion. The dice trick is now a unique card. The dice trick for when using a quest card, heal 100% and 100% fixed damage to a random enemy, which is now unique. When using a quest card, heal 100% 100 fixed damage to a random enemy. And dice trick upgrade 5. When a quest card is completed, create 1 quest card. And now it's an upgrade. Unique at the start of the turn, create 1 empowered quest card. Oof. That seems like a hit. Okay. So, Cassius' quest mechanics will be revised upon Cassius' quest completion. A healing effect will be granted, improving party sustain. This adjustment preserves him his core ninja combat experience of progressing through 4 different quests, while preventing certain low difficulty quests from dominating the gameplay. Okay, dice trick card adjustments. Adjustments will also be made across dice trick cards, which have shown overwhelmingly high epiphany pick rates due to strong synergy with the existing playstyle. While some epiphanies functioned as dominant choices due to excessively high efficiency, the base versions and certain epiphanies have shown limited usability. With this adjustment, the new effects will be added across the card set to improve overall feel, and select epiphanies will be turned to align with the revised quest mechanic. Cassius is a combatant designed around the enjoyment of improvisational decision making and quest completion. Through these changes, we aim to ensure that his signature control-focused gameplay can shine across a wider range of builds and team compositions without being overly skewed towards just 000 damage. Okay, Okay, let's have a look. We also recognize that these adjustments may alter the experience of and value of save data that many of you have carefully built, and the devs take these concerns very seriously. As compensation for save data changes resulting from this balance adjustments, 3 copies of the new item Flash of Possibility will be distributed to all players along the Season 2 update. The Flash of Possibility is a consumable currency used on completed save data. It allows you to designate a card that can receive a unique epiphany and directly select and apply the desired unique epiphany. If the selected card already has a divine epiphany, you can choose one of the unique epiphanies with that divine epiphany applied. However, if certain divine epiphanies cannot be granted due to the card's type or cost, the available options will be displayed with that divine epiphany removed. Through this feature, we aim to support strategic reconfiguration of existing save data. So for the first time, we have save data editing tickets, and with the first rollout, the ability to specifically trigger unique card epiphanies on specific cards, like here for example for Cassius, but can also be used on anybody else. Alright, starting with the rewards from this balance patch, Flash of Possibility will also become available as an in-game reward going forward. Through this, we plan to gradually reduce chaos-related fatigue that can arise during the unique epiphany selection process. In addition, for Tressa and Cassius who are subject to these adjustments, Protoss who no longer wish to continue developing or using them under the updated specifications can use the in-game growth reset feature to reclaim everything that was invested into these units. The development team places the highest priority on preserving the gameplay experiences and core value of Protoss. We will continue to approach future updates with this principle firmly at the core. So something I'm still very curious about is they're talking about unique epiphany, right? Is it just a card that can epiphany into 5 different options? Is that what that is? Or is it specifically talking about a card having to have a unique option as an epiphany? Man, the ambiguity here, I'm not entirely sure, but you know, I'd probably say like 70% everything, 30% just unique cards. Aye. Combatant improvements. Second, we cover the improvements to select combatants. Adjustments will be made to combatants and cards whose healing capabilities and overall usability as controllers have been underperforming. briefly outline the directions. In addition, variant improvements are also planned for combatants not mentioned in the dev note. However, due to the volume of changes, it was unavoidable to omit some details at this time. These adjustments are not limited to specific combatants, but are being prepared with the goal of allowing a wider range of combatants to better express their unique identities and roles. More detailed information, including specific card effects and numerical values, will be shared February 3rd, the day before the season launch on February 4th. Okay, counterattacks. Damage amount dealt when an attack is fully blocked by a shield will be increased. In the current environment, where ending battles in the fewest turns possible is prioritized, Vanguard's class has been underperforming compared to other classes. While we continue to review the long-term improvement direction and design for the Vanguard classes, these adjustments will increase the conditional damage of counterattack to help these combatants perform more effectively in Season 2 environment. Huh? Damage amount dealt when an attack is fully blocked by a shield will be increased. I mean, that's what it already does. So I guess we'll have to see how much that actually changes. Maybe they just boosted the base values of counterattacks. Okay, Nia's Decibel adjustment direction. Healing equal to the number of stacks will be added to the default effect. Elasticity, the stack limit will be increased and the effect will now trigger based on the number of stacks. G-Code, the decibel gain will be increased, and for Soul Rip, an effect that grants elasticity will be added. Nia specializes in supporting allies through rapid deck cycling with completed save data, but her relatively weak healing capacities or capabilities have caused her to underperform in chaos play. To adjust this, or to address this, healing will be added to the default effect of Decibel, and the stack limit of Elasticity will be increased, resulting in an overall boost to her healing performance, with Elasticity being the buff that I think heals you when you get hit. To allow Nia's deck cycling focus playstyle to better leverage the improved Decibel and Elasticity, G-Chord and Soul Rip will be updated to include effects that grant Decibel and Elasticity. Ray, the critical chance increase effect will be changed to a damage-based healing effect on the basic card potential. That makes a lot of sense. And snack time healing capacity will be increased, or capability. Ray has relatively few unique cards with built-in healing effects, causing her to rely heavily on Ego Manifestation Stage 2 for party sustain. With this adjustment, the overall healing provided by Snack Time will be increased, and the previously low-impact basic card will be changed to a damage-based recovery effect. Alright. Orlea. Basic card composition. The base card composition will be changed from 2 basic attack cards and 1 skill card to 1 basic attack card, 2 skill cards. Okay. Basic card potential effect. The chance to generate creations will be increased at, I think currently base it's 25 or 30%, so that's going to go higher. Creation. The effect values of creations will be buffed. Okay. Growth acceleration. Healing will be increased, and Will of Light now naturally has a reduced cost by 1, making it a 1 cost instead of a 2 cost card. Orlea's base card setup differed from that of other controller combatants, as it consisted of 2 attacks, resulting in lower party stability in early chaos runs. To adjust this, the base card composition will be adjusted, and the probability of generating creations from basic cards will be increased. Orlea has also been underperforming in the meta due to limited usability of her core creation cards and the unique cards that interact with them. To improve this, the cost of certain cards will be reduced, and the effects of creations will be increased across the board, increasing Orlea's usability and strengthening her support capabilities. If they are buffing the damage of the vulnerability slimes, or of the damage increasing slimes, then oh my, that's going to be quite cracked, because it's honestly pretty darn good already. Haru adjustment before Yuki. Haru adjustment. Anchor shot. Damage amount will be increased. Way anchor. The cost of anchor shot will no longer increase. Haru is a combatant who specializes in repeatedly using anchor shot to enhance her cards and take down single targets with the upgraded anchor shot. However, she has been underperforming in the current combat meta. To address this, the base damage of anchor shot will be increased, and in addition, the cost increase effect of way anchor will be removed, improving the overall feel of using anchor shot, enhancing the effectiveness of Ego Manifestation 2 even more. Yuki. Flash slash damage amount increase. Trickery strike damage amount increase. A single target damage focused effect will be added to low pick rate epiphanies on Trickery strike. Freezing blade damage amount increase. Yuki has been frequently used in many compositions thanks to her appealing fast-paced playstyle, but she is tended to be underpowered in the meta due to insufficient damage output. To address this, damage across her cards will be increased and single target damage focused effects will be added to low pick rate epiphanies, improving Yuki's usability even in encounters against single enemies. Okay, we'll have to see what exactly that means in total. Chizuru? The effect triggered when used on targets inflicted with cursed shackles will be enhanced. The cost of certain epiphanies will be reduced for karmic flames. Inhibit, it will become possible to gain AP through the user's own cards and continuous effects, which means inhibit now only prevents the loss of AP. Bound at Dusk, in its base state the cost of 2 cards will be reduced. Okay. Oni Hunt. Damage amount increase effects will be enhanced and usability of low pick rates epiphanies will be improved. Shadow of the Moon / Shadow of the Moon Plus. Damage amount will be increased. Shadow of the Moon cards of the same pile will now stack even when they are in the graveyard or draw pile. Huge change because you've been able to like make a bunch of Shadow of the Moons, and then if you draw all of them one by one, it feels a bit like a waste, right? And then Moonlight of the High Tide, damage amount will be increased. The Moonlight of the High Tide should be the ultimate. Chizuru is designed to deal powerful single target damage by leveraging unique effects such as Inhibit, Bind, and Curse Shackles. However, the constraints tied to these unique keywords have increased operational difficulty and limited build diversity. With this improvement, some of the restrictions on Chizuru's exclusive mechanics will be eased, and the damage amount of Shadow of the Moon will be increased, allowing Chizuru to perform more effectively in the current meta. Damn, I did not expect Yuki buffs. Okay, Khalipe. Damage amount of upward slash when its potential is not applied will be increased, so now it becomes even more of an AoE weapon. Vulture Ejection, both damage amount and shield gain of certain epiphanies will be increased, and Overpower will get more shield. Khalipe has been widely used in builds centered around Vulture Ejection, particularly in lower difficulty Chaos and during early game progression. However, effectiveness in the meta tends to diminish as the players progress into higher level Chaos. With this improvement, they hope she'll be proved to perform more consistently and effectively across combat overall. Magna. Adjustment direction, damage amount will be increased. Ice Wall, shield gain will be increased. Magna was designed as a reactive damage dealer who delivers powerful counterattacks to enemies, but has been underperforming in the current content environment due to structural limitations. Alongside improvements to counterattack, Glacial Iron Fist and Ice Wall will be enhanced to improve overall usability. So we really need to see what exactly happens to counterattacks. Do we become like 2 times as strong out of nowhere? Hugo! An initiation effect will be added to select epiphanies of Hunting Instinct, so that initiation isn't always the be-all end-all chase card. Hugo previously relied on Hunting Instinct at the very start of combat as a dominant strategy, resulted in heavy reliance on specific epiphanies. With this improvement, an initiation effect will be added to Hunting Instinct related epiphanies, reducing reliance on a single option and improving usability for a variety of builds. Aha! Rin! Dark Mist Secret Art Destruction adds the gain Dark Mist stance effect to certain epiphanies, and the conditions for Dark Mist Blade Art will be removed from certain epiphanies. Dark Mist Inner Art damage amount increase effects will be increased. So that's the golden card, the buffing card. And Dark Mist Secret Art Black Dance increased card hit count. Rin previously lost the Dark Mist Dance acquisition effect when Dark Mist Secret Art Destruction Epiphany was applied, which functioned as a constraint on her gameplay. To address this, Dark Mist Stance acquisition will be added across all epiphanies, and the condition for Dark Mist Blade Art will be relaxed, improving overall card usability. In addition, the damage increase effect of Dark Mist Inner Art will be enhanced, and the hit count limit of Dark Mist Secret Art Black Dance will be improved, increasing Rin's potential damage amount in combat. Following these adjustments, the development team will continue to monitor underutilized combatants and epiphanies, and remain committed to creating diverse environments where our combatants can shine. Before we get into partners, quick recap. I did not expect Rin buffs, Hugo buffs, Magna buffs, Khalipe buffs, Chizuru buffs, or Yuki made sense, but I would say Haru, Chizuru, and Rin were definitely not on my bucket list, but I guess in hindsight they make sense. And hey, as a personal Rin main, I take damage every day. Okay, Partner improvements. Now they are buffing 5-star partners across the board. With this adjustment, attack and defense increase effects will be added to most 4 and 5-star passive partners, and the active skills of certain partners with unsatisfactory usability will be improved. As Terria now does plus 40% damage amount to the next card based on the total cost of all cards in hand, meaning by up to plus 400%, which is kind of crazy, instead of plus 200. West McCord will now cost less and draw 2 cards. So, oh wait, what? Okay, West McCord will now cost 2 instead of cost 3 and move 1 card from hand to draw pile and then draw 2 of the assigned combatant cards. And Itsuku will now cost 3 and still deal the same effect, but maybe Fierce Winds is stronger. Okay. So this it doesn't show this here. This whole attack and defense increase effects will be added to most 4 and 5-star character passives. That doesn't have anything to do with the following active skill adjustments right here, right? So keep that in mind. We have to then see it on February 4th. Exactly how high, how much, how when, how what. Huh? I mean, it's already 35 minutes. Like, what? Memory fragment adjustments. Next are improvements to underutilized memory fragment set effects. Currently 2 set bonuses functioning as a overwhelmingly dominant choice compared to 4 set bonuses, and as a result the activation condition and effect values of the following lower adoption 4 set bonuses will be improved. The Orb of Inhibition, so the new Void set, which had you attack 2 times with 1 attack card, giving plus 10% damage to Void cards for 1 turn, 2 times per turn, now has plus 30% damage amount to Void cards that hit 2 or more times. Pretty straightforward. It's now 10% stronger and way less conditional because it instantly triggers so long as you have cards that hit 2 or more times. Orb of Inhibition, now a actually pretty sweet set. Okay, Instinctual Growth, when there are 4 or more cards in hand, increase instinct damage by 20%. Now when there are 3 or more cards in hand, increasing usability. And Spark of Passion, one of my least favorite sets. When an upgrade card is used, increase damage amount of the next 5 passion cards used by 20. When an upgrade card is used, increase damage amount of passion cards by 20, max 1 stack. No turn condition. Okay, Spark of Passion, boom, massive improvement, right? Any character that can use a upgrade card as a passion character can now also increase passion card damage by 20%. Okay. The development team is carefully considering balance between 2 and 4 set bonuses and aims to prevent situations where options become overly dominant. Going forward, they continue to monitor the adoption rates and effectiveness of set bonuses and plan to add additional improvements to underutilized options as needed. Equipment and common card adjustments. Lastly, certain equipment and common cards that appear in Chaos will be adjusted to prevent a homogenized gameplay experience centered around specific equipment during Chaos runs. Adjustments will be made to elements that currently exhibit excessively strong performance compared to other equipment and cards. First, an activation count limit will be added to the following 2 pieces of equipment. The brainwave blocking helmet can now be triggered 5 times a turn, and the psionic combat suit can now be triggered 5 times a turn as well. These pieces of equipment have been confirmed to perform above the intended power level relative to the equipment tier when combined with combatants that trigger frequent draw or exhaust effects. Because the previous design imposed no limit on effect values or activation counts, these options were able to overshadow a wide range of alternative choices. To encourage broader strategic diversity and promote more varied gameplays, this adjustment will be applied. Adjustments will also be made to certain common cards that either overshadow other strategic options or have low adoption rates. So Wonder of the Void will now become an exhaust card to stop an enemy's action count from decreasing. Tactical action will now deal 25 instead of 15% shield damage as a upgrade card for the entirety of your team or either the character. Acid Gas Retrieve, deal 2 impair to all enemies, is now Retrieve Exhaust, deal 3 impair. I mean, I don't know if anybody ever used Acid Gas, gotta be honest here. And then Rally is Haste, draw 1, increase action counter for all enemies by 3. It's now Haste, Exhaust 2, draw 1, increase enemy action count by 3. So Rally became worse. Yeah, because it's now exhausting after 2 uses. Obviously doesn't affect it too much if you're doing like a turn 1 scenario, but in terms of like playing multiple turns in a row. Okay, through this adjustment we aim to mitigate the situations where specific equipments or cards function as overwhelmingly dominant strategies and create an environment where a wider variety of equipment and common cards can see meaningful use. Additionally, due to the changes in the monster card saving rules under the updated save data system, existing monster cards will have their rarity reclassified from unique to common, rare / legendary. The effects of each card will remain unchanged. Among these changes, the monster card Spirit Keyfox will have its effects modified in accordance with its rarity adjustment. Okay. Shy Gardener, the 50% times 4 3 mark is now common. 20 save data cost. Big. Sorrowful Godfather, 50% times 4, 6 agony, 20 save data. Winged Humanoid Beast, 50% times 5, 20 save data. So these are honestly kind of crazy. Then 120% damage to all enemies, too weakened to impair. Also is now common. The 120 times 2 and on defeat on 120 times 2 is now common. The 160% haste increasing action count by 1 is now common. 250% if this is the only card in hand, cost decreased by 2 is now also a common, and the 350 if the target has a shield plus 50% damage amount is now common. Rare are the deal 150% damage for vulnerability and the deal 300% damage when ravaging gain 2 AP, the Soldier Prime. Or does it mean when the target is ravaged? Because it doesn't say destroy. Legendary 7 Arms, 120% damage if the target's action count is 2 or more, gain 2 AP, so this card remains costing at 80. Abyssal Bug, reduce 1 morale, reduce 3 resolve is common card, 20 cost. Activate the bottom 1 card of the draw pile, choose 1 card in hand and move them to the bottom of the draw pile is now also 20 cost, which is the Lab 0 Chilling Godfather. 121 vulnerable if the target did not act, 120 shield gain and 1 vulnerable is common, so 20 cost. 140 at the start of the next turn, increase action count of all enemies by 2 is now also 20. Slaughter, exhaust 200% shield damage to all enemies by the amount of shield gained is now common. The 2 morale leech, so 2 morale for you, negative 2 to the enemy is rare, making it 40 save data. Right, I think it was 40. Let me see again, just in case, because this is actually kind of important. Save data. 20, 50, 80. Okay, so 50 instead of 20 is now the cost. So now the exhaust times 2 draw 4 for 50. The Hunger of Lost draw 1 if there are no cards in hand, draw 4 extra is now 50 as well. 2 resolve gain shield equal to the amount of lost HP is now 50. From the draw pile choose 1 card to draw, apply retrieve to that card, the Spirit Keyfox. Oof! Spirit Keyfox is now garbage for the most part. You use it once, and from the draw pile you choose 1 card to draw and you apply retrieve instead of duplicating the card. Alright. Arbitum, Spirit Keyfox is now also rare. Arbitum, negative 15% damage taken 1 time per turn is 50 cost. At the end of the turn, 200% damage to a random enemy, also 50 cost. 5 crystallization, so a 100% fixed shield at the start of your turn, also 50 cost. And when using a targeting attack card, inflict 1 agony is now 80, a legendary card. And Dominion at the start of the turn 1 morale, and this keeps stacking, allowing you to, for example, have by turn 10 permanent morale is now legendary as well. The adjustment target you do not duplicate, you now apply retrieve on Spirit Keyfox. There is definitely some more synergy, some interesting shenanigans you can now pull off by applying retrieve to a card of your choice, but it's definitely not as crazy as before. With this, the Season 2 balance patch, we hope Protoss will be able to explore a wide variety of strategies and enjoy new combat experiences. Starting with this adjustment, the development team will continuously monitor the usage and gameplay experiences across the game, including combatants, cards, partners, equipment, and the like. So, the main takeaway here is that there's still some things hidden, especially the full adjustments to combatant improvements. We need to wait for February 3rd to see the entire extent. We have ourselves the breakdown of Tressa and Cassius, and we also once again have a massive save data rework change. Damn. That was a lot. That was 44 minutes of me straight reading, and y'all know the deal. We don't skip around, we don't play around. We went bang, 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 and still took 40 minutes. Holy. Okay. Alright, people. Yeah, I think this is pretty much it. Let me know down as usual in the comments below what you think. You probably at this point in the video have done that already. And as always, we see each other in the next one, and we shall see if there's any more crazy like conclusions to be gained from here. Who are like the big winners, who are the big losers. I guess we'll only really know February 3rd. But what I find, I mean, the main conclusion, right, is Cassius and Tressa did get hit hard. I feel like Tressa might find a way again to like deal more damage, similar damage, through picking different epiphanies now that the Shadow Daggers work differently, especially the advanced Shadow Dagger now being 0 cost. Cassius got hit pretty darn hard in the limiter to his 0 cost card, but they didn't change the acquired conditions. So you cannot get multiple quest cards anymore past the quest card that you're completing, because it now instead gives you an empowered card at the start of your turn, I believe, right? That was the unique change. So it really looks like you want to like pick your path based on what your team does, but then you really only get the value based on whatever card you're picking. So if you're playing 0 card synergy, then you get more damage from Cassius. If you're playing like all your combatant cards, then you could, for example, get the draw. And then if you're playing like the 0, 1, 2, 3 cost, you can then create the buff card, and then you could just play 1 cost cards if you want to get the healing / damage card. So something that surprised me a lot, and that's like my main thing to look forward to, is definitely the Haru, Rin, Orlea, Hugo, Chizuru adjustments and improvements. Alright, let me know what your favorites were and how hard you think some of these things got hit. And once again, rest in peace, Spirit Keyfox. It's been a pleasure playing around with you, and we see each other in the next one. Peace!